Hi everyone, happy December. It's the 6th of December today, and I haven't started reading anything new. I'm actually still reading Communion, and I'm quite enjoying it, but it's kind of like a slow read, and I really want to move on onto the wintry, cold reads. The other reason I'm kind of like frozen and can't choose anything new is because I just have a week and a half more here in Edinburgh, and then I'm gonna be traveling to Mexico for almost 3 weeks. I don't want to take any books with me. I'm just gonna be reading off my Kindle, so I can only choose something that I know for a fact that I'm gonna finish in that time. And I know it seems enough time to finish a book, but honestly, with me, you never know. And I am quite busy from now till then. So I'm a bit nervous about picking something up and then having to leave it half finished for 3 weeks. Also, the state of my bookshelves, well, I haven't done any progress in organizing since I last showed you. So just the idea of like diving in and trying to find a book that fits my mood right now is just too daunting. So I don't know, what should I do? Should I just like start reading off my Kindle now? I mean, I think I have plenty of stuff there, and I have Kindle Unlimited at the moment, so I'm sure I can find more than enough. But then I know there's winter books in my shelves that I would like to read, so I just don't know what to do, and I can't make a decision, so I'm just paralyzed and essentially not reading anything. I just don't know. Anyways, I think I'm gonna return this to the library and I'll just borrow it again when I'm back in January so I can finish it. Other than that, I guess I'll just come back when I make a decision and I'll show you what I've started reading. Hello again. It is December 21st today. I am in Mexico and I haven't read anything all December. So that's awesome. I just could not do it. The weeks before leaving for Mexico were so hectic and crazy, and I just had to finish up work and then sort out all the Christmas shopping, and I was just so tired, and also I got sick. So yeah, it was not great, but I'm here now and I'm feeling better. As I said I would, I traveled with only my Kindle. I actually did have a browse of the books I already have in there and decided I have more than enough for the holidays. I want to read The Kingdom of Sweets, which is a Nutcracker retelling, but I think I'm gonna wait to start that on the 24th. But then I think it's 3 years in a row now that Gemma Amor has put out a Christmas short story or novella around this time of year. I've already read this one. I hope I'm pointing to the right one. And it was really fun. So I want to read the other two. And then I realized on my Kindle I have The Terror. It's such a long book, which is the reason I haven't read it yet, but I really want to. And I thought it could be like a winter project. I can read a little bit in December, then January, and even February. So I'm gonna try to do that. And that should be enough, but if I get bored or want something else, I'm pretty sure there is plenty of like wintry or icy or Christmassy books on Kindle Unlimited that I can use for backup. I did bring some reading material with me, but it's not books. Let me show you. I brought these magazines, which are the Yule special editions of the Hellebore magazine. This one is one from last year and this one is one from this year, but I haven't read this one, so I just brought them both. And in general, Hellebore magazine focuses on folklore from the UK. But of course, they're more seasonal volumes, so it should be fun. The magazines are absolutely gorgeous. So yeah, I am looking forward to these. I mean, look at this. Works of art, really. The other thing that I remembered is that I haven't spoken to you about the audiobooks I've been listening to, and I think there's two of them, and the first one, I'm pretty sure I started in November, but for some reason just forgot to talk about it. I started the Wayward Children series, the Wayward Girls. Let me check what it's actually called. Yeah, so it's the Wayward Children series by Seanan McGuire. I don't know why I'm having trouble speaking today. The first one is Every Heart a Doorway. I guess I should just say in general what the series is about. This is about children that somehow end up finding a portal to a different world. So they go to a different world and live there some time, basically create a new life there. And then they return to this world and obviously have trouble adjusting to their new reality, which is their old reality, but you know what I mean. So there's this school where these children can go, and it's kind of like a readaptation center for them to just be able to cope with the reality that they live in the real world now. So in the first book, which is Every Heart is a Doorway, we follow a girl who's come back from her world, and then she's at the school and she's just like trying to figure out how this whole system works. But then we learn that there's actually danger in this school, and it becomes a little bit of a mystery as well. And the second book is Down Among the Sticks and Bones, and this follows two of the characters that were introduced to us on the first book, but this is kind of like a flashback to when they went to their world. So most of the story takes place in that world. And if I understand correctly, the series alternates between one set in the school and then one set in a world, and we just kind of flip-flop like that. At least that's what I've heard. I guess I should say I'm just completely in love with this series, and the only reason I haven't continued is because the third one is on hold at my library. They are written in such a fun, whimsical style. It's very cutesy, very heartwarming, but actually many of the topics discussed are quite dark, so it's a very interesting, contrasting experience. I especially loved the second one. I was very intrigued by the characters. They're these twin girls, but they are very, very different, and when they're in the real world, they're different in a way, and then when they go to their world, they're different in a different way. It's all a little bit convoluted, but it's actually part of the story. I found them so likable, and I really enjoy how the author tells these stories. It's very much a fairy tale style, so it's somewhat removed from the characters' thoughts and feelings and emotions, but somehow those things are still conveyed. It's hard to explain because the author doesn't really explicitly state a lot of the inner world of the characters, but I think based on the actions and what happens, it's just easy for the reader to infer that. I don't know if that makes sense. It's a very, very unique storytelling style, I think, and it really just feels like you're listening to a children's story, or like your mom or grandma is telling you a story. So it's simple, but also beautiful, but also there is complexity in it. I think I'm doing such a bad job of explaining this, so I'll try to think about it a little bit more and see as the series progresses if I can put my finger on what about it is that I like so much. But yeah, especially for someone who is really not into fantasy, these completely blew me away and surprised me so much, and I'm just so happy that there are so many books in this series because I want all of them. It's the 23rd of December in the evening now, and I think it's an acceptable time to start the Christmas reads, so I'm gonna start this one. It's called Christmas at Wheeldale Inn, and it's by Gemma Amor. I'm obsessed with this cover where the house looks like a coffin. I've no idea what it's about, but I think it's a gothic story, and that's exactly what I'm in the mood for. Merry Christmas, everyone. It's Christmas morning today. I'm kind of whispering because I'm up really early. I think I'm still slightly jet lagged, so I'm trying to be quiet to not wake up my family. But yeah, I've been reading Christmas at Wheeldale Inn. I'm about 30% in, and so far we've just followed a married couple that are on the road. I should mention that this is historical, so I can't quite place it because, as I've mentioned before, I'm really bad with my history. But when I say on the road, they're like on a horse-drawn carriage, and basically they're getting away because they are in a lot of debt. so they kind of like have to disappear. And we just get to know this couple. We know there are secrets. We know that the husband sucks, and we've just started getting to know them when something unexpected happens during the journey that puts them in danger. So I'm not gonna say anything more until the end because it's quite short and I don't want to spoil anything. But I'm looking forward to the rest of the story, because if there's one thing I trust Gemma Amor to do is to give awful men what they deserve. So yeah, can't wait for that. So I only have time for a really quick update. I finished Christmas at Wheeldale Inn. I finished it 2 days ago because today is the 28th. It was so good. It's exactly what I was in the mood for Christmas read. It's set sometime in the 19th century, I would guess, maybe early 19th century. So it definitely goes along the Victorian Christmas ghost story tradition, which was all the vibes, to be honest. And as I mentioned before, these couple arrived to the Wheeldale Inn after an accident while traveling in their carriage, and they stay there for I think maybe a couple nights. And it's so short that I don't want to say much else because it would be spoilers. But yeah, it's a traditional Christmas ghost story. The vibes are immaculate. I loved the characters. I think Gemma Moore always writes really compelling characters, and especially female characters that you're really rooting for. At some point, I was a bit taken by surprise by the direction the story started going, and I was like, I don't know if I like this. But once I finished reading, it all kind of made sense, and I did like it. I have zero complaints. It's just such a perfect, cozy Christmas read, and I highly recommend it. I have time for another quick reading update, but before I start, I have something very important to ask you. Do you want to see a cat? I'm assuming you all said yes, so I'll show you my cat. Look at him. He's so cute. He's so handsome. His name's Darwin. He's not very smart though. Darwin. I finished the audiobook I started in October, which is the one with the really long title, so I'll just say the first part. It is The Anatomy Murders, and then all of the rest. It was such a good non-fiction book, especially it was such a good true crime book. If you didn't watch the vlog where I started reading that, I'll try to link it somewhere up here, but it is about the Birkenhead murders that happened in Edinburgh during the early to mid 1800s, if I remember correctly. And basically these two killers killed people to sell their bodies to anatomists and medical doctors. And the reason I love this book so much is the way it is structured. So each chapter focuses on one character, so either one or both of the killers, a doctor, or one of the victims, and basically uses that like as a launching off point to discuss different societal, political, scientific issues that were relevant at that time, and explain from a historical perspective how these murders happened and why, and what was happening at that specific time and place that drove these people to kill other people. So even though it's a true crime book, it's very historical, and I actually learned a lot. I learned a lot about Scottish history and even Scottish law, to be honest. So yeah, I absolutely loved it. I don't know how widely available it is. If you're in the UK, I borrowed this from my library system, so I would imagine that would be the case for people in other parts of the UK, but I do highly recommend it. I have other reading updates, but I will have to come back for those later. Last night, I started watching the Chucky TV show. I don't know if you know this, but I love Chucky. I'm obsessed with the Chucky franchise. And actually, earlier this year, I had a special live with Lauren from Happy Hunts Library all about Chucky. It was so much fun talking to her about it, and I will link that video below somewhere so you can watch us discuss and rank all the Chucky movies. But anyways, after I rewatched all the Chucky movies, I was was really excited to move on to the TV show, but then I kind of forgot about it. And last night I didn't know what to watch, and I just saw it was there, and I'm like, yes, now's the time. And this is just my very first impressions because I only watched season 1, episode 1, but I think it's gonna be so good. I love that the main character is a 14-year-old boy and he's gay, and I think this is so awesome because obviously throughout the franchise we get the idea that Chucky is a huge ally, so I was really happy to see this made so purposefully clear right off the bat. And obviously, even though it was quite obvious, I really love that it basically confirms that this was the case ever since the movies, because the TV show is also produced by Don Mancini. Sorry, I just had to check because Don Mancini actually wrote, directed, and produced most, if not all, of the Chucky movies, and then also he's involved in the TV show. So the TV show clearly stays true to the vision that he had all along. Anyways, I'm rambling again. The point is that the first episode was really good. There was a few minutes where I felt that there was too much exposition during a couple scenes. I was like, okay, it's a little clunky, but I thought it was super entertaining. It maintains the same type of horror, which is a little bit jump scary, but not too much. And I love the tension because obviously we all know the concept of Chucky, so you're just waiting to see who's gonna die, and then they set up different characters that could potentially die. So there is this tension of you being like, oh my god, when and how is it gonna happen? And it doesn't let you down. There's also that very clear humor to it, which I really enjoyed. And another thing that I noticed is that the soundtrack is so good. So the overall effect is really good. Plot-wise, obviously I don't yet know much of it, but we follow this boy, as I mentioned, and he is kind of an outcast. He's very bullied in school, and he is a bit of a weirdo, but obviously that's not a bad thing. But he creates art from doll parts. That's how he ends up finding and buying Chucky at a garage sale. And as you would expect, strange things start happening at his home, and then he takes the doll to school, so things happen in school as well. And in terms of first impressions, this was so good, and I'm definitely going to continue watching, and maybe I'll wait until the end of season 1 to give you my thoughts on that, but I think it's going to be good. I'm excited. I haven't been excited for a TV show in so long, and I can't believe I had forgotten that this existed. I'm currently sunbathing in my parents' sofa while I read The Terror, which is about people stuck in the ice. So that sucks for them. And I did promise a reading update, so let's do that now. I can't believe I forgot to say Happy New Year! It's the first day of 2025. We're feeling good. Not gonna lie, I was feeling awful the last couple days, like towards the end of the year. But the power of the new year is in me, and I feel kind of okay today, and I hope you're feeling happy as well. So I finished reading my magazine, and when I tell you I'm obsessed, that's an understatement. I think I'm just gonna order all of the previous issues because I just love this so much. Because not only are the illustrations beautiful, but the actual content was so fascinating as well. So I'm gonna tell you about my favorite ones. This one is about the Misty comic books that were released in the UK during the 1980s, if I remember correctly, and they look awesome. They were horror comics for girls. I'm so curious. I'm thinking about ordering some issues online because it looks amazing. It's just about girls doing witchcraft. Then we have To Capture a Haunting, which was about a radio show written by Nigel Neal in the 1970s. And this was about a ghostly kind of sound that some scientists were trying to record. And you know that I love it when scientists try to explain the paranormal. And I think this radio show is available on YouTube, so I think I'm gonna listen to it. And finally, we have News of Those We Counted Dead, which is about The Terror. This was actually a coincidence. I didn't plan this at all, but this little article is about how the wife of one of the captains was trying to use spiritualism to be in contact with her husband and also try to figure out what happened to him and to the whole ship. And then it also mentions some other instances of spiritualists trying to make connections with passengers aboard the ships and trying to figure out what happened. And that brings us back to the terror. I literally just started. I'm like 4% in, although because this is really, really long, it's like over 900 pages. 4% is actually a decent amount of reading, and I do like it. It is very dense, and I just don't know what it has to be this long, but I'm gonna keep trying. It's very, very rambly, and I fear I might get bored, but I'm really curious and I really do want to read it, so I'm gonna try my best. I thought I'd quickly show you the Christmas presents I got from my friend. First, she got me this huge I love horror books sticker, which is so cool. I'm not sure where I'm going to put it. Then she got me this bag of horror villain, horror monster post-its. Let me open it up. So we have Freddy, Jigsaw, Chucky, Jason, and Michael Myers. I think currently my favorite is this little guy, of course, but they're so freaking cute. Then, in a similar vein, she got me these bookmarks. So now we have the Scream guy, another cute Chucky, an It clown, another Freddy. This is another Jason, and another Michael Myers. Again, super cute. I think out of these ones, this one might be my favorite. Then she got me this candle in the smell horror movies and chill, which is caramel popcorn, vanilla, and amber. I already smelled it a little bit, and it really does smell like caramel popcorn. It's so good. And this is what it looks like out of the box. It's so cool because it actually looks like a tub of popcorn. I love it. Then I have this horror pin and this pack of spooky stickers. This is more, I guess, kind of like dark academia. They're so cute. And finally, I got one of these things that you put your finger through it and then it helps your book stay open, which is super helpful. And this little bag where you can take your book, your Kindle, notebooks for writing class or whatever I do, which is also super cute. And finally, a reading journal. I've never had one, but I'm really excited to try it. So I think I'm gonna end the vlog here. As you can see, I'm back in Edinburgh. It's the 8th of January already, so it's just so hard traveling back because I get really jet lagged and then I had to go straight back into work, and I've been basically on survival mode this whole time. Sorry, I'm literally in bed, but it's really cold here and I can't even like sit up. I just need to be under the blankets with my hot water bottles. I have been reading the Terror, but I haven't made as much progress as I originally wanted to. The plan was to read 1/3 in December, 1/3 in January, and 1/3 in February. And as of today, I read 15%. I did consider DNFing it for a little bit. I mean, it's a 900-page book and it's not particularly action-packed. It's more of a slow burn and kind of atmospheric. The reason I consider DNFing it is because up to about 13% maybe, literally nothing happened. It was all just background and just like really long explanations of things that happened before that I guess build the characters up, but I don't know, I just didn't care. I truly didn't care. There are a lot of explanations about ships and like the people who work in the ships and like the way the ships are built, and again I was like, I do not care one bit about any of this. The only good thing is that right off the bat you get told some kind of like creature is or has been haunting some of the people in the ships and that a lot have died, but then it's just mentioned, but it doesn't happen on page, it's just referred to. And then, as I said, closer to like 12 or 13% we get to experience an instance of these happening, and it was quite frightening. I do find that the cold of the Arctic Circle makes for a really spooky atmosphere. I just don't do well in the cold, and the way it's described in the book is
so like oppressive because everything these people do revolves around the fact that it's so freaking cold. So yeah, I'm enjoying it, but it just moves so slow that it literally might take me well into the spring to finish this book. I don't know. If someone has read it, please let me know. Should I continue? Is it worth it? Or should I just move on with my life? Anyways, I will see you on my next vlog, and I guess you'll find out then what I decided to do. As always, just let me know in the comments if you've read anything good lately. Give me some recommendations, or if you don't have anything specific to say, just leave me snowflake emojis to reflect not only the cold that's happening in my book, but the cold that's happening in my real life. I hope you're having a beautiful 2025 so far, and yeah, I'll see you soon. Bye!